That's better.
I have to borrow somebody else. So everybody else, it seems fine. It's just that one. So I'm going to use Commissioner Warner's here. All right, welcome to the Planning Commission meeting for August 10th. Be excused. I've asked Commissioner.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the many blessings that have come to us. We're grateful for the opportunity of living. We pray for that Spirit to be with us to help us make good decisions on behalf of the citizens of Payson. We thank thee again for all that we have in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Welcome, Commissioner Rowland. So you'll be filling in the rest of Commissioner Beecher's position. And the next item on our agenda is item 3.1, which is the approval of the minutes from our very long meeting from July 13th, 2022. Is there any discussion about the minutes?
Minutes.
Have a motion. Second, Commissioner Moore. All in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes. Far enough away. Next item is a public forum. This is the opportunity for anybody to address this items that are not on the agenda. If your item is on the agenda, we'll get to that here in a moment. But if you have an item that's not on the agenda you'd like to address the Planning Commission about, you're welcome to come forward. Okay, seeing no public comment, we'll move on to item 5.1, which it's my understanding it to the request of the applicant, we need to table that item till a further date. Do we have a motion to do so?
Motion to table.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cowan. All in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and we'll move on to item 5.2. This will be a public hearing, but we'll first have staff presentation on a Sprout condominium plat A request by Clark Davis for a condominium plat approval of 3 buildings on 1 lot. The condominium plat is proposed to be located at approximately 1583 West American Way on Utah County, parcel 49-287-0005. Michael. This does work. Okay. Better than mine. Bonus points.
So as was stated, this is located on 1583 West American Way. Condominium status for future development of some property that they want to put there. And this is currently in the business park development zone. They are currently working with staff, and so we're helping them to move through the process as promptly as possible. Looks like it's slow in changing what I put up there. There we go. So again, this is the site here just off of American Way, and here's 1700 West. And then the condominium plat looks like this with a larger building on this side and then 2 smaller sized buildings here, parking and access from American Way, and I think that's Innovation Circle. So that's the proposed layout. Staff recommends for this to have a positive recommendation to go to the planning or to the city council from the planning commission, contingent upon any red lines and concerns with the current plat. One concern that we had on there was that in the bottom corner of the plat, they put the side up to 40, the fire chief to go higher because it's not restricted by. But for example, just really small things like any questions.
The question, and I probably was there, I just missed it. uh, how does, I'm sorry, how that work?
It'll be in the same ownership. I believe it's Outlook LLC. And so that whole area currently owned in the
So they will maintain the parking lot after the plat, so.
Okay, this is a public hearing. We will open this up for public comment. Is there a motion to open public hearing?
Motion to open.
Public hearing.
Second.
Second, there we go. Second by Commissioner Morgan. So this is opportunity for, is the applicant here on the
Hello?
Oh, 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 oh,
Hello?
oh.
I'm unable to hear any audio. Hello? I can't hear any audio.
There we go. Go ahead, Clark.
Better, thank you. I just haven't been able to hear the discussion, that's all.
I don't think there's much to be said other than if you wanted to add any comments. They asked about ownership of the common area, but I think that was resolved. But if you have any further comments, go ahead.
I don't believe so. Just, yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I move that we recommend approval of the Sprout condominium plat A. Contingent upon satisfaction. Staff requirements, red lines, no, motion, second. Okay, all in favor, by yes. Move forward to city council. And then we'll move on to item 5.3.
We're gonna wing it.
Expansion zone change. This is requested by Payson City for a zoning designation change from B5H, the annexation zone to BPT business park development zone. The property consists of approximately 30 acres, located approximately 600 south, 700 west.
Yep, I'm gonna
Presentation.
take over Michael's laptop for a minute and see. It won't let me access. Well, we're gonna find out. If not, I'm gonna have to be really descriptive in my presentation. Okay. I don't know. Where's the?
Everything's bad. Supposed to be out of here in like 15 minutes.
I think we jinxed ourselves. Oh, no, it's like. Hey, thanks for coming, you guys.
You don't want to stick around for this?
Well, and Dane Hill's on, and he probably can't hear us either for this next item. Now PowerPoint's not responding.
Crash, boom, bang.
Okay. We're gonna try it again.
Have internet.
If you have internet, that's awesome.
At this point, you could the telegraph.
Oh, so he did that. I don't have the- Try this real quick. Try it again.
Enjoy some chocolate during this intermission.
The AT&T problem from a few weeks ago.
It like won't let me.
I'm
log
gonna
in.
milk that one from Ross.
Under Star Drive. And then go to CC presentations. 2020 staff presentations 2022.
Now you can mute yours.
It won't even let me and then go down to 8, 10. Okay. So my presentation is not even there anymore.
Sure, we'll open a read-only copy.
If it'll do, okay. I don't know what is going on tonight, but this is, okay.
Share it here.
Okay. We're gonna try. If it goes on the screen, it's a good night. Okay. Remember mine now.
I understand.
Okay, here we go. So Chair, thank you for presenting or opening up this request. Is what we are looking at is a zone change from property that is currently zone A5H annexation holding zone to the BPD Business Park Development Zone. So it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from the property we were just talking about, the business park with Outlook Park and with Sprouts condominium flats. So I have a lot of activity happening in the business park, which is really good to see. And this is just another reason to focus on the business park and look at some more property to be zoned for those business activities. So the area that we're looking at here, so all of this is the Payson Business Park. So extending from Utah Avenue on the north down to about 1800 south, or at least the railroad tracks on the south. And then you've got the UP Union Pacific Freight Line that goes here on the west side. This area is zoned BPD, Business Park Development Zone at this time. We see a lot of activity occurring in there. We have a lot of applications that are under review at this time with a lot of square footage proposed for business use. So the area that we're looking at here is about 30 acres located, this triangular piece here. So it's within, it's immediately adjacent to the business park and on the east side of the railroad tracks there. So a little bit of information there. Property is currently owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We've got the parcel number that's there. Acreage is just shy of 30 acres. Current zoning, as I mentioned, is A5H annexation holding zone. It's proposed to be changed to the business park development zone. This property was annexed several years back. It was a very large annexation that was proposed and accepted by the city. It was known as the Red Bridge annexation. It consisted of about 1,100 acres, something like that. It was quite large, extending out to the Payson City landfill. But the majority of that property was brought in as the A5H annexation holding zone because there wasn't any immediate plans for development. There's a lot of agricultural activity that was occurring. So we wanted those uses to be consistent upon being brought into the city. And so now as we're looking at implementing the general plan, it's necessary to look at properties, evaluate them, and possibly rezone. So here on your right-hand side, the city is initiating this zone change. The property owner is not. We have had conversations with the property owner, but this is a city initiated zone change. The applicant or the property owner does not have any development proposals or any development aspirations at this particular time, but is supportive of moving forward with the zone change in order to advance the goals of the general plan. Zone change requests are legislative actions. So for our new commissioners' benefit, you will hear that from us often. You'll hear us say if it's a legislative action or if it's administrative action. And just in a nutshell, the difference between the two is legislative action is creating ordinance or policy. City council has a lot of deference in legislative actions, whether it's annexation, if it's your general plan of what you want your vision of the community to be, zone change. So there's a handful of things that are legislative action. So we're looking at it case by case. We look to see how it fits in the bigger picture. And we look at, is the timing correct? So there's a lot of things that we look at with legislative, but administrative is, have you met the rules? So if an applicant comes in and they are asking for administrative action and they have taken care of items 1 through 10 in the ordinance that are outlined in the ordinance, then they should not be denied approval of that. And so one is, once the rules are established, the applicants only have to meet those rules, and that's an administrative. But legislative, like I mentioned, there's a lot of difference. We're looking like with annexation. Is that annexation appropriate at that time? Is the proposed zoning that they have appropriate with the general plan or the future land use and development of the city? So anyway, sort of a poor description of those two, but you will hear legislative and administrative often. Now the process, staff review and recommendation. So anytime we get an application, staff reviews it for consistency with our plans or with our adopted ordinances. And so staff has reviewed that and provided a recommendation. Staff is recommending approval of this request, finding that it is consistent with the general plan. Planning Commission will hold a public hearing. All public hearings are held at the Planning Commission for these land use approvals. Public hearing will be held, and then you will forward a recommendation to the City Council. City Council with legislative actions, they are the land use authority. There are times that the Planning Commission serves as the land use authority and they make the final decision, and it's not forwarded on to City Council. But in this case, because it's legislative, the legislative body, City Council cannot, they cannot delegate, thank you, they cannot delegate their legislative authority. And so this will go to City Council, but they will be the land use authority and they will make the final decision on this. But they do look at the recommendations of the Planning Commission and also any public comment that's provided through the process. So current and future land uses. So I've got a couple of maps here just to explain the difference. So you've got the official zoning map of the city. So these are properties that are currently, this is just a portion of our zoning map, but these are properties that are already in the city. And when properties are annexed into the city, they're assigned zoning. Zoning can change over time. And so this is just a quick little snapshot of a portion of the city just to show where this 30 acres is in relation to properties to the west and the business park and other areas throughout the community. So the zoning identifies what the property can be used for at that time. Or if somebody was wanting to develop property, then we'd look at that particular zone, whether it's an R1 zone with residential, or if it was multifamily, or if it's industrial, or if it's business park. The zoning map is going to provide that guidance today, or currently, what is that land use and what can be done on that property. The future land use map is the general plan. So that's where we're saying what will happen 6 months from now, 10 years from now, 20, even 30 and beyond. So we're looking at, where would we want those land uses, those land use types? Where do we want residential? Where do we want industrial? Where do we want commercial? Where do we want agriculture? So we look at it very high level of as our community continues to grow and as it continues to evolve, where do we want those land uses? Where's the transportation? Where's the housing? All of the components that make up that future vision of Payson. So this is a snapshot of the future land use map and showing again, it's really hard to see on the screen, but we're looking right down here. The pink area is office flex. So that encompasses the area in the business park. So business park doesn't allow for industrial uses, but there are some additional guidelines in the business park that are different than any other industrial area in our community. That's why we look more at office flex. And we have a specific zoning district, business park development for that type of development.
So meaning no industrial manufacturing.
So there can be manufacturing and there can be certain types of development, but any type of heavier industrial use or storage units and different uses like that, that would be more appropriate in an industrial zone. would not be allowed. So yeah, the industrial zone encompasses what we call light industrial and heavy industrial. We have two industrial zones. But the business park, it's a different type of development and more of a park-like setting. There's some additional design requirements as far as exterior materials and look. So business park, and then the other areas that we see along this corridor between the two sets of railroad tracks, between the interchanges, that is more for just your typical industrial uses, which you've probably seen throughout the community. But yeah, business park has some additional requirements in order for it to maintain the purpose and the vision of that business park when it was created back in the late 90s. So zone change considerations, a few things that we look at with the zone change. One, again, it's a legislative action of the city council. City council is not obligated to rezone property. And so it really is look at it on a case by case. We look how it fits into the bigger picture. We look at timing. We look at, a number of things, the uses allowed in each of the zones. And when we're talking about a different, when we're looking at a zone change. But general plan, we definitely look at that as a guide. We are not necessarily required to follow the general plan, but it is that guide. Everything does not have to be consistent with the general plan. I guess is a better way to say that. Everything is evolving and changing all the time. So we do use it as a guide. And the land use that is being proposed tonight is consistent with the general plan. We also look at evaluation of uses. And this one is a little extreme because we're going from an ag zone to a business park zone. But if we were looking at a commercial zone, whether it was professional office or commercial, we usually look at what are the land uses that are allowed or the allowable uses in each zone. Because once a property is rezoned, an applicant or property owner is entitled to apply the regulations of that zoning district to that property. So at times we have applicants come in and they say, we want to rezone this property because this is what we want to build. And we may be really supportive of that particular proposal. But once it is rezoned, that proposal could change. And if it still meets the requirements of that zoning district, that proposal could change and the applicant may not be denied approval if they are willing and able to meet the requirements outlined in the Payson City Code. So, I usually try to note that the owner is eligible to use the property. So currently today, they're in an A5H annexation holding zone. So it's basically agricultural uses or, existing, residential homes that might be in that area. But if this property was rezoned to the BPD zone, then it allows them to do those business activities of the expansion.
And they still do their agriculture as well.
And yes, they absolutely can. So we've had a lot of property in our business park that it is today being used as agricultural, even though that property has been annexed in the city for many, many years. But yes, agricultural uses can still continue until development occurs. Yeah, so it's that good, interim use. And then approval of the zone change does not grant any type of development approval. So just right now is what we're looking at is rezoning the property. As I mentioned, the property owner does not have any immediate plans for development. Again, this is staff initiated. We're wanting to expand the opportunity for business to happen in this area, but the property owner does not have any plans at this time. And when a development is proposed on any parcel of land, there's additional approvals that the applicant has to make. They'll come in and meet with staff and they'll go through that process.
So if it gets changed to industrial and the current owner sells, do the new owners then, are they disallowed to do agriculture because of?
No, they can continue doing agriculture. Yeah, they can keep on doing ag. And right now on that property, it's just crop production. So if they did sell it to somebody else that wanted to continue crop production as an interim use until business is developed there, that can still occur.
That's something called, and you'll hear this a lot, Jim, as you serve on this. It's called a legal non-conforming, meaning that it's not conforming to what the current zoning is, but it was legally established, and so it can continue.
So anyway, look at the current zone versus the proposed zone. It doesn't grant any type of development approval. Additional approvals would need to be granted at the time of development. And then the legislative approval again, which is nice. Planning Commission recommendation. So tonight, you have two options with this application. One is to approve, or the second one is to recommend denial. And so there's really not a, I guess technically, if you felt like there was additional information you needed, there's always the option you can remand it back to staff. But I think a zone change request, and this one in particular is pretty straightforward. So staff is looking for a recommendation from the Planning Commission tonight. And then, of course, any motion should include findings that indicate reasonable conclusions for the recommendation to the City Council. So in this case, this zone change would further advance the goals of the general plan and is consistent with the general plan. So that is a finding that the Planning Commission, could consider putting in their motion tonight. And I believe that is the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions for staff, again, it is a public, we do need to conduct a public hearing tonight. And then we do have a property representative joining us tonight via Zoom. So Dane Hill is representing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But staff could help you with questions, or he's available to answer any questions if necessary. Again, there's no immediate plans for development. They're just a willing participant to rezone to help further the goals of the general plan.
And just to be clear, staff definitely recommend.
And we do recommend.
Absolutely.
Approval.
You don't want a surprise on this one? Is there any questions for staff prior to opening the public hearing? And then did the representative have any comments they want to make prior to opening public hearing?
I'll just
All
say
right, just a
something
second, we'll
quick.
get you unmuted here.
Okay.
Do we have a?
Dane, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Try it on Michael's laptop again.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
Okay, let's try this.
All right, go ahead and try that again.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. we can.
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, I'm really sorry I can't be there tonight. Got held up here, but just brief comment. Really grateful to city staff for their efforts in lining up the zoning with the general plan. We're supportive of the use or the change. We don't have any intentions to develop anytime in the near future, but hopefully we can contribute to the business park that's already in place and kind of continue that flow and kind of be congruent with the surrounding community. So we're supportive of this change.
Thank you. Okay, we need to have a public hearing on this.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second by Commissioner Warner, all in favor by yes?
Yes.
Is there any additional public comment? I see none. We have a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second, Commissioner Rowland, all in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes. Any discussion among commissioners? Okay, somebody want to make a motion for recommendation to city council?
I'll move to approve or to recommend the approval of the business practice zone change.
Okay,
Second.
motion second, Commissioner Cowan, all in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that will move forward to city council. Is there any additional staff reports? We've got training coming up next month.
Yeah, training is coming up next month, but we just want to officially welcome Jim Rowland to the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So I'm excited to have him serving. And, if there are any questions or anything.
Lots of them.
Lots, yeah. But please just put it on your calendars for September 28th, 5:30.
Okay, so I thought that maybe close the meeting and then do a little introduction, because I know sometimes they don't like doing it during the meeting with Commissioner Rowland, or do you want to do it during the meeting?
Up to you, Chair.
I'm good with closing prior to doing introductions unless somebody wants to do it on the public record. All right, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn and then just
Motion
ask
to
that everybody
adjourn.
stick around for a few minutes. We can have some
Second.
introductions. A motion is second, all in favor to adjourn, say yes.
Yes.
All right,
Technically, you're all still in a quorum, so it becomes a little bit of a gray area.
Okay.
You close the public hearing or the meeting.
okay. So